Welcome to the Vetiver Vibes podcast. We're your hosts, Nikki, Rachel, and Rhonda, certified clinical aromatherapists coming to you from Ontario, Canada, and on the internet everywhere.
This episode is brought to you by Essentria, a leading online school for aromatherapy. Essentria is your go-to source for clinical aromatherapy certification programs that are recognized by NAHA and the Canadian Federation of Aromatherapists.
If you want to learn more about Aroma Massage course, check out their website, www.schoolofessentria.com. We're excited that you've given your time to be here with us, knowing you'll get the best essential oil scoop. Hello, everybody. Today, I'm very excited to be here with Angela Sidlo. Angela is an Aroma Point Therapist, Reflexologist, Menopause Success Coach, author, and NAHA Director. Wellness is her passion. Angela began as a holistic practitioner 20 years ago and still continues to evolve as an early adapter, using cutting-edge technology to help individuals achieve optimal health with essential oils, bodywork, and soul-level transformation for women through menopause. We're so excited to have you on the show today and talk all about Aroma Point Therapy and the power of fragrance energetics as it relates to menopausal health and wellness. So hello,
Yay.
Angela.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
So we love to start asking all of our guests, what is your favorite oil or aroma?
Oh, I know, so many choices. That my palette is about 150 oils wide. So I guess my favorite these days is black spruce. I think about that as we're coming into fall and, you know, having that energy of an oil that's going to keep us one with nature and strong at a core.
I love that. All right. So let's dive in. And can you share with us exactly what is Aroma Point Therapy for those who've never heard of it?
Okay. So I first became an aromatherapist, and then I discovered a beautiful mentor and a couple of teachers that taught me about fragrance energetics. So I'd like to have your audience right now kind of imagine an essential oil as an energetic frequency. Every oil resonates with a frequency, just like we resonate with a frequency, and our frequency changes throughout the day. So when you first learn essential oils, you learn top notes and middle notes and base notes. So let's think about top notes being an energy frequency that lifts and clarifies. Okay?
I love that.
So it's lifting and it's clarifying. And imagine when you smell like a citrus, we'll say lemon. Don't you feel that energy rise up?
Oh, it's instantly.
Yes. So let's think about middle notes. Middle notes are the harmonizers. They sort of do this infinity loop, or they do a wave or some circular motion to balance. So think about, let's take something really common like lavender, which is a middle note, and how soothing and comforting. It likes to make friends. It likes to say, okay, top notes, come down and balance, and okay, bottom notes, let's create this synergy, right? So then think of your base notes. Those are the notes that ground and stabilize and keep us anchored, okay? So as we think about those, Aroma Point Therapy layers that onto specific acupuncture points. Okay. So if I match the right essential oil and its frequency or its energy to the right acupuncture point, the energetics of that oil travel that meridian like it's been dropped into a little vortex and travel that meridian to find balance in the body. So I do with essential oils what an acupuncturist does with needles, only it smells much better.
That I can, just the way you're talking about that, I can just picture it all in my head of like when you're talking about the lavender, and I can just see the oil waves in my mind as you're explaining it. I love that.
So I work with it in many different ways. There's another model that we put with it when we're trying to match the oils and the points, and it's all about the biological terrain. So being hot, cold, damp, dry, and those kinds of things. There's 6 biological terrains. But just for today's purposes, we're going to just think about the energy of it and what that is. If it lifts, balances, or grounds us. Okay. With Aroma Point Therapy, the oils are diluted, of course. And so there's different dilutions for different oils. I'll give an example of blue tansy, which is a very blue oil. And so we dilute that 15%. It's pretty strong. So there's 15% of the container is blue tansy, and then 85% is your carrier oil. We're using these on single points. So it's not like we're covering large body areas or reflexive zones or anything like that. It's just one point, and it's a very, very, very light touch.
So this is probably why we can have it at a different dilution than typical aromatherapy use, because it is just that specific point that you're being used on. Because we stress a lot about proper dilution.
Absolutely.
And so that's one important to know, there's a difference, and these are the times where it's okay because of how it's being used.
Yeah. One of the biggest questions I get is, why is that dilution so much? So for instance, like with lavender, even though you can put it neat on the skin, we do a 50% dilution. So most of them are either 50, 25, and then some of the precious oils like neroli or jasmine, we're doing 15%, or even Roman chamomile and helichrysum like at 10%. So I want to share a couple of points and a couple of oils, and I want to show you the very first point I do with every single client. Okay. It's with bergamot. Okay. And you can use either the FCF that has the non-bergaptine in it, or you can use just the regular bergamot. I like to dilute this 25%. So 25% essential oil, 75% carrier. And there are companies that you can buy pre-diluted oils in, or I just dilute them myself. No big deal. So this point is in the ear. So if you go from the top of your ear inside, roll down into that top deep valley, the first deep valley, that point is called ear shenmen. And it is a source point. And they've done some beautiful biofeedback studies with this point that I absolutely love to share. So in the laboratory, they hooked all the diodes up to the brain so they could measure what happens when you put bergamot on shenmen. And I'll just do this right now because I love it. So the application is 1 drop onto the fingertip. It's diluted, touching the 2 fingertips together to get even distribution of the oil, and then rolling down into that point and just gently touching.
Okay.
Bergamot is known as the supreme balancer and the bringer of light. And no matter what you're going through, whether it has been COVID or inflation or a hurricane or whatever's been happening in your life these days, bergamot's going to help. I can already feel it. So what happens energetically is bergamot travels that meridian, and it balances the left and right hemispheres of the brain. And the biofeedback shows that it drops your body into a state of parasympathetic relaxation.
So how long do you typically hold the point for?
Well,
it's like as I'm watching,
it depends on how often you've been doing this.
Okay.
Because what happens is after you do this for a while, 10, 12, 20 times, I don't know, your body starts to remember, oh, we have bergamot. It's our friend. Remember, it's coming in from shenmen. We know what to do. And then you'll start to feel that shift sooner and sooner.
Oh, nice.
When I start using this with clients, they usually, it's in anywhere between 1 and 3 minutes before they're feeling a response. And that response usually comes in as the body's able to take its first deep breath because it's releasing the diaphragm. That vagus nerve has been activated. The shoulders start to drop. Somebody might yawn. They might speak a little softer because you can just see that stress kind of going away.
Melting away. Nice.
So anytime I'm doing any other body work, whether it's reflexology, whether it's energy work like Reiki, the energy of the oils are my allies, and they're helping me before I even get in there to do the work. And they continue to help after the session's over with.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's,
it's fantastic.
I'm just like I'm just trying to like absorb it all. And it's just like, I love it. The concept, the biofeedback, the energetic aspect of it. It's so amazing. Sorry.
Well, we know that the essential oils always help us on body, mind, and spirit.
Absolutely.
So not only are we activating a parasympathetic nervous system reaction, we're allowing ourselves to relax enough to be able to process emotion, to be able to have better digestion, to work through old transgenerational trauma or whatever it may be, right? And this is especially helpful for me when I'm working with women going through menopause, because you know that saying, your mess is your message?
Yep.
Well, so many women, like when they get to the state of perimenopause, like there's all these built up layers of stuff that's happened in their life, whether they've had to be a mom or not gotten to be a mom, or had a lot of job stress or hated their job or whatever. And this is a way that they can start to take off this exterior and create a new life, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
Yeah. So I want to talk about a couple of other oils and points. A lot of times, and this is just like for the general population, we see so much now with people being insulin resistant. Type 2 diabetes is like now an epidemic, right?
Absolutely.
And especially for women who are starting to go through perimenopause, insulin is a hormone. So when our stress levels go up with our adrenals, with our cortisol, the next thing that tips is our insulin levels. Yep. And as we age, we become less stress tolerant. Again, bergamot, helping me manage my stress better. So one of the points and the oils that I love to use, and I will revert back to my reflexology with my foot here. So for reflexology points, this would be the head of the metatarsal. So for layman's terms, where you have a bunion, if you have a bunion, go right below that. There are 2 points. There's spleen points. It's spleen 3 and spleen 4, and they're about a finger width apart right below that head of that metatarsal. It's sort of a soft spot, and it kind of works into the arch of your foot. Geranium essential oil has the ability to help redesign your pancreas and your glucose and your glucagon. So having the oil on these points morning and night, and sometimes I'll just put a drop of oil on, diluted oil on there, and then just put my feet together and hold it there for a minute. Okay. That will reduce sugar cravings, and it will help to reset the pancreas to be working properly in relationship to insulin, glucose, and glucagon.
Awesome. Yeah. So just everyone who can't see the video again. So just down from the big toe, kind of where the bunion would be, and then just a little bit further down from that, below that. So
and just take your index finger and your second finger with a drop of oil on each, and then just place it there in that, just the beginning of that arch. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and I usually put a pair of socks on afterwards, and I'm happy to go to sleep after that.
Awesome. And so would you hold those points there also for a couple of minutes type thing? Especially
at the beginning. At the beginning, you'll want to hold those for a couple. And really what I do a lot, and I encourage my clients to do, who are trying to manage blood sugar, is to hold that and then have some positive affirmation that they're, helping with the frequency of that oil. Like my sugar balance is good and strong, or whatever it might be that they want to instill, that my cravings are lower every day as I use the energetics of these oils, some little mantra that they can do.
A nice positive affirmation to, stay within that flow. I find that always helps when you're speaking positively while using anything holistic. I find it's always
and
nice
even imagining geranium is a middle note. So imagining this infinity loop enveloping your pancreas and all of your blood sugar balance, and how it's just surrounding it with this beautiful energetics of support.
That's a beautiful visualization to picture. I know I'm lucky that I can visualize very easily. I know not everybody can. So describing that is a great way just to help people see, being able to almost see inside yourself and picturing that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. One of the other things that I like to help support women with, because sometimes they're like, I didn't even know I was in menopause, but then I woke up and I'm all in these night sweats, and I'm like, what is going on? So a beautiful oil, which is a top note, it's Mei Chang.
Yes.
I don't know if you know Mei Chang. It's sort of lemongrassy.
It's a beautiful oil
in that vein. So again, the energetics of a top note are going to lift and disperse, and we want to lift that heat up out of the body and disperse it. So what acupoint can we use? So if you bend your elbow and you see that crease that your arm makes, from where your bicep is, that crease that comes in your arm, go to the end of that crease. And right there at that point is large intestine 11.
Okay.
So placing Mei Chang on that point, and you can actually easily do it by crisscrossing your arms, and you can touch the index fingers on both those points at the same time.
Oh, that's a smart way of doing it.
Yeah. So doing that releases the heat from the upper body. So when you're feeling that hot flash, using that point and oil combination releases the heat from the body.
Awesome. So again, anyone who's just listening, just bend your elbows and put your finger right at that crease where they kind of meet together, and just hold the oil there for a couple of minutes. Oh, that's awesome.
And then a good affirmation I love to use for that one is, I release anything that doesn't serve me, that has created heat within my body. And it just feels good. That's part of that unlayering for women going through this beautiful journey to becoming a wise woman, is to know when to let go.
Yes.
Know what no longer serves you, and have the oils support you in place of that.
And that's hard for a lot of people, of letting go of what isn't serving them. I find a lot of women that I speak to, they just want to hold on and almost hoard. They're too afraid, right? It's like asking for help. They don't want to ask for help. It's just letting go of things can be so difficult for people. So
that we've been holding on to these things that we didn't even know weren't serving us. But to let go of it creates a void. And what do we do with that void? And that's where the energetics of those essential oils are really going to be there to support you. So going through that process, one of the other oils that I love to work with is laurel. And it has a very beautiful historic connotation to it, because we rest on our laurels. That's what we think about our accomplishments. And we get to this point in our life where we're like, I don't even know what the next phase is going to be. But if it's anything like these night sweats I'm having and hot flashes, I don't think I want any part of it. So what I love to do is use laurel on this point right between our brows, and it's called yin tong. And what laurel does, because it's a top note, it's going to bring the energy up and disperse it. But what it does is, I think of my my inner self, my intuitive self, as like a drone, and Laurel allows my inner self to rise above me and get that 20,000 foot view to see the bigger picture than what's really going on inside that might be chaos, which is mostly like chaos. So it allows you, like, imagine this drone, and it's just like, ooh, lifting up with this energy and saying, oh, but there's another potential out there. And wow, that's pretty sparkly over there. So you know which path to take through the forest after that.
Awesome. Oh,
so yeah. And I really encourage people to, these aren't just little things in bottles that, we can purchase. There is a whole world around this.
Absolutely. This break is brought to you by Essentria Aromatherapy School, leading online school of aromatherapy. If you want to use aromatherapy safely with your family, check out the Foundations of Aromatherapy course. Empower yourself with trusted education. Go to www.schoolofessentria.com.
NAHA sponsors a tour every year to Egypt with our Egyptian delegate Ragda, who's a really good friend of mine. And I went on that the first year that they offered it. And to be down in the valley, that fertile valley of the Nile River, and watching these people produce and bring in, like, in horse and wagon style, these like coriander, and walking through an orchard of neroli flowers and the blossoms dropping on your head, like
unimaginable.
It was so beautiful. Unimaginable. Yeah. So we have to be good stewards of the earth. We have to really learn about the plants themselves and make that part of who we are. When I walk in, I live here on the Oregon coast, so I walk through this little pathway along my creek side, and there's these beautiful, huge spruce trees, and just to be there in their presence is like, and then seeing the sap ooze from them, and like everything it has to offer it's just beautiful.
It is. And I often tell people that we need to respect the plants, respect the earth. Like, they are here and we're the ones who are going into their world and cultivating them and taking the essence. And so we need to continue to respect that once we have them in our bottles. And, there's so much more, like you said, than just the little bottles. There's when they're in the earth and around us. And yeah,
I've been producing hydrosols for this was the second year that we've produced hydrosols from my medicine garden. And I do go out and forage the wild rose petals and the wild yarrow and different things in my area. But the plants will tell me when they're ready to be harvested. My lemon verbena got all the way to the eaves of the house last year, and I just went out there one day and she's like, okay, I'm ready. I want to give you that medicine.
That's awesome. It is. And I remember this past summer, I spent a lot of time running through. We have just a beautiful little forest right by where I live, and it takes me about 5 minutes when I'm actually jogging to get to it. And every day this summer, I did a nice little run, and I couldn't go out without going through it. I just needed to be in it. And it is like watching this happen, watching the leaves change colors now as we're heading into fall. It's beautiful. And the changes every day throughout it. It's amazing to see and it does. The earth tells you, the plants tell you when it's time to do something. Like, I would see a lot of mushrooms starting to grow at certain times. And it's fascinating how nature really communicates with us. And if we're open to listening to it, we can hear those messages.
Yes, there is a rhythm and there is that resonance, and that is all energy if we allow ourselves to be open to it. My book, Aromatherapy for Menopause Success,
Yes.
If anyone is in a question of like, I'm not sure about my symptoms, I don't know what's really happening with my body, you can go to angelasidlo.com and you can download the free reference guide that will be your hormone symptom mapper.
Awesome.
So
And we'll connect that in the show notes also.
Great. And then the book itself has, from there, you can go to the essential oil remedy mapper after you've mapped out your symptoms and see what essential oils actually can make a difference with those symptoms. So it's really fun. There's also 100 different recipes in there to make it, everything from lymphatic help to sleep to immune system to all kinds of things in there.
Yeah.
And then at the back of the book, there's also an appendix that takes most of the oils that I work with in women's healthcare and gives the specific information from research that's been done, how it relates to women's hormones, whether that's helping your adrenals. I talked about black spruce earlier, and I love to do a diluted black spruce over the adrenals because it helps support adrenal health. And because black spruce is known as the ancient one, it helps to hold you upright, give you that core strength, but allow you to still have that free movement, like the boughs of the trees when they get blown in the wind. That trunk keeps them solid, but they still are able to move. And I think that's the way we go through life, as being really grounded, but still being able to move about and share our gifts.
That's awesome. And so that book, people can buy that wherever books are sold. Typically, you can get that on Amazon.
It's available
I know
through Amazon.
Yeah. I was saying, I know it was on Amazon.
If you pop into Amazon and just pop in my name, Angela Sidlo, in the search box on Amazon, you'll come up with all of the, like I just did the Acu Aroma Journal. There's an essential oil recipe book guide in there so that you can actually record all your favorite recipes and have them right there.
That's handy to have.
Yeah. So it's some really helpful tools for aromatherapists on there.
Awesome. And we'll again have the book linked and the free guide linked also in the show notes so that it's easy for people to find. Absolutely. Because I mean, especially as we get into the perimenopause, menopausal state, it is, a lot of people are just, they don't know what to do. It's new. And it's not something that we talk about often enough. It's like puberty all over again, where it's not as taboo as it was. I remember when I went through puberty, it was taboo to talk about. You didn't talk about it. You didn't mention anything about it. And at least now, as I see other parents my age where they have kids starting to get into puberty, it is being talked about so much more, which I absolutely love. There's so much more support and even little parties about it and different things like that, which I think is great. And I feel like now we need to start shifting that to menopause and like, all right, like we need to celebrate this. It is another huge milestone in our lives that need to be talked about, need to be celebrated, but need to have that support also in being able to know how to support ourselves, how to support our, other people going through the symptoms, also going through this life change and coming into our, the best, what can be the best years of our lives still. So I think it's really important that we do acknowledge and see how we can talk about and celebrate and support ourselves more through this stage of life.
Well, that saying, it takes a village to raise a child.
Right.
It takes a village to get a woman through perimenopause. And she better have her besties with her.
Yes.
It's so multifaceted. It has to do with diet and lifestyle. It has to do with your attitude and gratitude. It has to do with finding the right practitioners and integrative therapies to make it all work. Yeah. And it's not a one size fits all.
No. And I think that's important to remind people, because a lot of people think, oh, well, this worked for one person, it'll work for someone else. Or, this is what's going to help everybody who's going through menopause. And it's no, just like anything else that you've had up until now in your life, there's not one thing that's going to work for everybody. Everyone is unique. Everyone's body is unique. Everyone's hormones are at different aspects. And that's what really needs to be focused on is that aspect of it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
But essential oils, hands down, have helped every single one of my clients. And we've had blood
Awesome.
results that show that, like the geranium foot arch treatments. I'll say, okay, go get the continuous glucose monitor, and they'll do it. And then they'll start doing the geranium foot arch. And pretty soon their blood sugar levels are more back in range. And then they'll go have their A1C tested, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's lower. And that was
That's
the only
awesome.
shift I did in my protocol. It's
Wow.
like, yeah.
That's amazing. That's so
Mhm.
amazing. So when you're working with someone going through menopause, perimenopause, around when you're doing um, the whole session, how many points typically, or how many oils typically are you using on someone?
So when they come to me, the most oils I will use in an Aroma Point session are about 5. Okay.
Okay. So that's not
The
bad.
body starts getting a message with each one. So I
Mhm.
want the body, especially if they're new to this modality, to have a chance to process the information, to say, because it's like meeting someone new. Oh, hi, how are you? Where did you go to
Yeah.
school? Where did you? So the body energetically is getting to know this. And if this body has been frazzled and out of sorts for so long,
Mhm.
thus the bergamot, we want them to know bergamot first. We want them to say, oh, hi, I'm bergamot, and I'm going to help you through this day.
That's awesome.
And then sort of, layer the next one and the next one. And then I let them just be for about 20-25 minutes with some music
Okay.
on, or maybe I'll take them through a guided meditation so they can start to think about this journey called menopause.
Mhm.
And then I give them homework. And I say, you're going to
Nice.
use this every day for the next 2 weeks until you come see me again, those kinds of things. Yeah.
Okay, so it's nice. So there are things that they can do at home also to support themselves between
Mhm.
going for
Yeah, and
another appointment.
oftentimes I'll give them like a protocol chart. Once they get into it, they'll get a chart
Okay.
that has the point and the oil to use.
Mhm.
And before you know it, they're building their own charts.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So would you say, so a session in total, would you work on, I know you said you let them kind of rest at the end and let the body just kind of process it all. So
Mhm.
is a typical appointment about an hour long or?
Yeah, it's about an hour. We'll do a
Okay.
little consultation. I'll decide what oils to use and what points to use that day and discuss that with them. We'll do the session. I may, while the oils are doing their thing, I may do a little bit of reflexology if they need some support for digestion,
Okay.
or maybe their pelvic bowl needs some support and those kinds of things. And then we sort of do a debrief and have the homework session and book the next appointment. Yeah.
Great. And so it's not always the same oils each time you see them either necessarily,
No.
which
Mm-mm.
is awesome. So you're really looking that day, what it is that their body's needing.
What that body is doing energetically that day,
Yeah.
what is coming up in the conscious field.
Mhm.
And we do a lot of like tapping in to, we'll sit for a couple of minutes and I'll say, okay, close your eyes and take a deep breath and notice what you feel in your body. Because when people are in pain, when people are have elevated cortisol levels and are always hypervigilant,
Mhm.
they disconnect from their bodies. And
Yep.
it's like, I don't like what's going on in this body. I'm just going to kind of like go binge on Netflix or eat my way through the package of Lorna Doone cookies or whatever that is.
Yep.
Pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I don't know.
Yep.
And so asking for that presence, asking for that awareness, your body deserves that.
Mhm.
It's here for you every day. Your heart is beating for you every day. And so you need to be aware of it. And then that's where the work really starts, because once you have awareness about something, you can choose to change it.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I think that's something that we don't think about often, is that we can change. It doesn't matter what your age is. Absolutely does not matter what your age is. But if you want to change something, it's never too late to change. If you reflect in and see something that you don't like, or just want to change, or, modify in some way, do it. Like there's nothing holding you back but yourself.
Mhm.
And we are often our biggest obstacle.
Mhm.
So, and a lot of people, I like that at the beginning where you say, you just kind of sit and see, because we don't do that enough. I find a lot of people don't do that enough. Some people have never done. I know a lot of clients that I see, when they come in, they're like, I just don't know how to relax. I don't know how to what do you just want me to lay here and sit here and do nothing? Like that's a foreign concept to them.
Well, and that's a lot of like, when I start working with women, we're really calling all of the pieces and parts back to themselves that they've lost or given away.
Mhm.
And a lot of times taking time for yourself brings up a lot of shame.
Yep, that's true.
And guilt. Like me, I can actually, I sit in a hot bath for 20 minutes with the door closed and not talk to anybody and listen to my music and have a candle.
Right?
I can do that. Yeah.
Or,
and you should.
right? Spending that time, I can go out and take care of my body instead of just focusing on kids. I know that's a lot of people that I see, they have younger kids or teens where it's still their focus and is on them so much, or their partner, or the house, or work, or whatever it is, but it's never them, because that guilt is too much of, I can't focus on me. I'm not important enough for myself. So I think it's, you said it so perfectly of, yes, like this is the time to get it all back, take it all back.
So I'll leave you with one point, and that is sweet orange
Mm-hmm.
on CV17. And CV17 is the center of the sternum.
Okay.
Okay. So
just
it would be
down.
like at nipple level.
Yeah.
In the middle of your chest at your sternum.
Yeah.
Okay. And sweet orange, that point is called primordial child. Okay. Sweet orange on that brings the sweetness and the playfulness back into your life that you've maybe lost throughout the years.
Oh, I love that.
And allows you to open your heart space to more playfulness. Mm-hmm. Instead of, being bogged down by, I've got more crow's feet, or I've got more wrinkles, or I'm more stiff now than I used to be. Like taking that layer off and making things playful, being inquisitive and curious like we were when we were children, and being open to new experiences and new adventures, because that's where change can happen.
Mm-hmm. So is that they're tapping into the inner child at that point?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh,
yeah.
So many great points. And I mean, I'm sure we could just go on and on about this. I have certain parts that you were saying, I'm having goosebumps, because it resonates so much, and you just have such an amazing view of it. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me today.
Is there any last words of recommendation or wisdom that you would like to, pass on to our listeners?
I think to all the women, whether they're, in that part of their life where they're starting perimenopause or postmenopausal, that you are here on this planet right now to do amazing work, because this planet needs women like you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. So can you share with everyone, where can someone find you, reach you? I love everything that you've said, and I'm sure many others have, and would love to dive deeper into the subject with you. So absolutely, we will, share your website and the book, where you can get the books and everything. But if you want to share your website, social media, anywhere where they can contact you.
Okay, you can go to angelasidlo.com, and there are little icons on there that will send you to my social media platforms on Instagram and Facebook, and to SoundCloud, where I have some guided meditations with essential oils. And there's a click on there for my online school too.
Amazing. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Angela. I absolutely appreciate it. I'm sure our listeners do too. And we are so grateful that you were able to join us. And thank you to all the listeners for tuning into Vetiver Vibes, the Essential Oil Scoop. I'm Nikki, and we'll see you next time. Bye. This episode was brought to you by Essentria, a leading online aromatherapy school. You can join the free Introduction to Essential Oil course at www.schoolofessentria.com.
If you love this episode or you got a lot of value out of it, please make sure you share it with someone in your community who you think will enjoy it too. If you haven't already subscribed or reviewed the show yet, please go over to your preferred streaming platform and hit subscribe, then leave a review. This is the best way to help support us, and we appreciate it. Email us with a screenshot of your review, and you will be entered into our monthly draw for a free mini course.
This podcast is for information purposes only. We are certified clinical aromatherapists and holistic health professionals. If you have a medication concern, please refer to your health team. Everyone's health is unique to themselves, so the topics and suggestions stated may or may not apply to you directly.